Good morning. My name is Bobbie Timmerman. I am a teacher, I guess a veteran teacher at Nettleton High School. I've been here 54 years. My family and I moved from Texas to Jonesboro, Arkansas in 1967 when my husband was employed at Arkansas State University. I started my teaching career or education at Texas A&M and then transferred to Arkansas State after moving to Jonesboro, and this is where I completed my teaching degree from. While a student at Arkansas State, I did my internship at Nettleton, and while I was interning, the then superintendent, Gerald Watkins, called me in and asked me if I would be looking for a job, and I replied yes, and he said, "You're hired." So this is where I have been ever since then, and have enjoyed every minute. The first year I started was kind of different. We had a tornado that May, which destroyed our school. So I started the year off in a portable building on the parking lot, and which is now a parking lot, and then later moved into the building, which I call still the new high school. I guess I had always wanted to be a teacher, and growing up, my sister and I would play school, and I was always the bossy one who wanted to be the teacher. And this has just kind of been instilled in me over the years, and I've enjoyed every minute. Prior to becoming a teacher, I worked in the business office at Texas A&M while my husband was a graduate student. And this is, I guess, where I learned my love of business and decided the business area is where I wanted to go and spend my career at. So when I started teaching business education at Nettleton, we had manual typewriters. Manual typewriters stuck around for a while. Finally, we got a few electrics. And then finally in the early 80s, the computers started coming out. And we got our first 8K PET Commodore computers, which I knew nothing about and felt quite lost, but learned to come to adapt to them. You would type your letter, you would take out your floppy disk and put in your spell checker and check your spelling and store all of your letters and programs on floppy disks. So technology has come a long way. We even existed without cell phones back in those days. We had a pay telephone down the hall that the students could use in an emergency. So I guess at 84, I could stay home and enjoy retirement, but I don't know what I would do. So I keep showing up, and usually first to arrive in the morning or one of the first, and one of the last to leave in the afternoon. I think one of the enjoyment of teaching is watching your students start out so eager to learn, and then it's my job to try to maintain that enthusiasm while they go through school, and that's the joy that comes from teaching. 30 or 40 years later, you might see them out in the community. You'll read about them, what they're doing, and seeing that they have become successful in life, and that maybe you have played a tiny part in that is very rewarding and what keeps you coming back day after day. I have several former students that work with me in the building. One is Craig Miller, who teaches radio and television, and I keep going to him for all of my technology problems. In fact, he's the one helping me out today with this interview. And then our records clerk in the office has been there for 32 years. She learned on the 10-key adding machine, telling me back then she had never used this stuff, and now she continually uses that numeric keypad on the computer without having to look at her correct fingering, as she did not want to learn that way, but she did. So it's a real joy to watch these students succeed and come back. I think that our business curriculum is just as important today as it was back in the early days in the 70s. We're not here to play, we're here to learn. We're here to teach these students what real life is all about. I try to tell them that when they step out of that door in May and have that diploma in hand, they're no longer going to have that safety net of coming to school in the morning when they get up. They have to wake up and face the real world and face reality. So they should utilize and find out as much about the real world while they're here. So I teach a lot of personal finance, budgeting, and things of this nature, and try to instill in them the importance of planning your expenses and your income and knowing what you're going to do with this once you get out in that real world. Some of the added duties that I have, about 24 years ago, bowling started as a sport in Arkansas. The principal came in, asked for a volunteer for a coach. No one held up their hands, so I held up my hand and volunteered, and still coaching bowling today. I have thoroughly enjoyed it. It's an area that the students I have that come out for bowling are usually not the students I would probably see in the business classroom. We have had 3 state championships. Our last year, we're just coming off of our latest state championship. We went to nationals this summer and did quite well. So this has been a real joy, and I will keep going back to coaching, I suppose. And then FBLA has been another big element of my day. FBLA is the Future Business Leaders of America. We are a national organization and very active on the local and state and national level. I've been on the board of directors, and that was a real experience that I thoroughly enjoyed, and stay quite active and involved in the Future Business Leaders of America. This allows me to go back each summer to our national conferences. I think I've been to over 45 national conferences over the years, and get to visit with some of my former students that are now teachers or that are business people that come back to judge. One of my boys from the class of 81 keeps coming back. Mike Mills from Virginia. His wife is a business teacher, so Mike comes back. And now Mike's young man, who is now in his 20s, is working for the National FBLA office. And he commented to me several summers ago when we were at a national conference. He said, "Miss T, I wouldn't be here if it wouldn't be for you, because my dad would never have met my mom." And I thought, yes, that's probably quite true, because Sandy was from Virginia, Mike was from Arkansas, and they met at a national conference, and the rest is history. So yes, I guess I have touched lives in ways that normally I don't think about, but I get on airplanes and I look into the cabin to see who the pilot is, because I have airplane pilots. My family doctor, my dentist, my accountant, my financial advisor, my beautician, they're all of my former students that I think I have trained well, and I guess the person to one day put me under, the funeral director, is also my former student. So if he is not retired and comes out of retirement, I suppose he will be one of the last ones that I will see. Starting my 84th year, or 54th year, teaching over 7,500 students, trips, keeping all of this contacts with former students is what I look forward to each day. It's what gets me up and moving in the morning, excited about coming to school. I have faith in our students. I have faith in our future, and a love for these students that keep me wanting to come back year after year. You have to be patient. You have to act like an adult. You have to be that responsible adult for each and every student. You have to believe that there is good in every student that passes through our doors, and it's my job to find that good and bring it out. Thank you.